How are you tonight?
Oh, just trying to keep up with chat.
Yeah, what happened? Did something happen tonight? What's going on?
Did something bigger than Rutherford doing an interview with a paper happen today?
What a week.
There's never a dull moment with their team, is there?
No. Not at all. And my apologies. You're gonna have to fill me in a little bit on the first period. I kind of missed the goal. I was frantically trying to write some notes about the
Well,
changes
let's talk
that
about it
happened
then, because we'll call it a down. It was a classic Heronic down. He didn't. He wasn't strong enough on the puck. He got checked, gave up the puck, giving it to a Dallas player who then passed it up front. And because it was such a bang bang play, nobody was set in their proper positions. They were mid change, and the Dallas player managed to shoot it over the shoulder of Demko.
So we're not really hanging that one on Demko then, are we?
No, we're hanging it on Heronic because once again, as we've talked about a number of times, the man does not seem to be able to be strong on his stick and got taken out. It almost very similar to how he actually got injured, where he got hit into the boards and his arms get all bunched up. But I mean, I'm not a fan of Heronic these days, but I guess we can't be looking for two $8 million players to get traded in a day.
No, and we'll see what happens. Maybe they put him back up with Hughes. Some right-hand defense help maybe on the way.
Yeah. Canucks wise for that period, did you see anything that you liked? The start was good.
The start was great. Lots of shots on net early. They came out flying. Gonna have to get Ottinger moving a little more. Obviously, he's a Vezina caliber goalie. There's a reason why he's likely the starter for the U.S. at Four Nations. So, well, I mean,
other than
he
Hellebuck.
may not be the starter, other than Hellebuck, right? So this is you see the spoils of riches that the U.S. has going into the Four Nations in net. So the fact that Ottinger is likely going to be a backup in that tournament is just wild to me. But anyways,
downs. Canucks only win 31% of the face-off. They out-hit them, so that we'll call that an up. We're gonna blast through these 13-6 the hits. Shots
the
5 blocked each.
Face-offs expected after losing Miller.
Yeah.
So you're gonna lose in the face-off in that sense. So not much. I mean, realistically, being down 1-0 last game of a road trip with what happened today. Hard to be focused. Had a pretty good start considering everything that's gone down. So I'm not going to be too hard on them. Definitely need to get some more side to side for Ottinger with some quick puck movement and shots in the second period. But yeah, we got some juicy stuff to talk about. So enough about that.
Let's give the people what they want then, because everyone's asking about it. The JT Miller trade. Dustin, tell us what happened just, half an hour ago, whatever it is.
Well, it finally happened. We all kind of knew something was brewing. This has been brewing for a while. A couple weeks ago, we all heard that JT Miller almost got traded to the New York Rangers. There was a game where it was, will he play, won't he play? He ended up playing in that game. So we're kind of right back to where we were in that sense. The timing of the trade, I kind of attest to Rutherford putting that article out and JT going, get me out of here. I'm not going back to Vancouver and facing that media. Are you nuts? So it makes sense that it got done on the road trip before going back after that came out, knowing that there is a problem in the locker room, and likely Miller was going to get a lot of the heat for it because Petey has kind of been drawn up as the golden boy with the big contract, and that was probably hard for Miller to swallow with the ego that he had and with the emotions that he does carry. And you could tell there was tension all season with this team. It had been off. So we knew it was coming. It sucks because he's an extremely talented hockey player. Not many players can get you 100 points in the NHL these days. So it's tough to walk away from that, per se. However, it goes a long way to fix the issues in a locker room when a rift between your two star players is affecting the entire team. It's affecting the coaching staff. It was wearing everyone down. You could tell that everyone was just getting tired. So because this happened now, it frees up some cap space. When we're with coming back, we're taking a little less money because New York didn't retain any, or we didn't have to retain any salary to send Miller to New York, which is a good thing because we already have dead cap in OEL and Mikheyev coming up next year. Also, now the pressure is on for Petey. He is the guy. The forwards are officially his, quote unquote. So he will need to bring his best each and every single game, or he thought the media was on him before in Vancouver. If he struggles now that they got rid of the bully and now you got to shine, look out. He will have nowhere to hide. He will have no one to hide behind. He will have to give the majority of the interviews for forwards. Hughes does the stuff as captain and talking about defensive issues, but this is going to put a big spotlight on him, and he better be ready. We did see that he was capable of doing so when Miller missed his time with his leave of personal leave, putting up 15 points in that 10-game absence. So if he can get back to that, Petey, and show that this really was what was holding him back and it was a distraction and it was wearing on him mentally, then great. Great trade. The other side of it is Petey's still not safe. If he can't handle the pressure and he has a poor second half of this season, they can very well move him in the offseason before his no trade clause kicks in. So there's nothing to say that he may not be traded as well. This might just be the first domino. Plus, Rutherford did pick up, so in the trade, JT Miller, Eric Brandstrom, and another prospect went to the New York Rangers. And in return, the Canucks received Philip Hedl, a centerman, Victor Mancini, a right-handed defenseman, and a protected first-round draft pick. So the protection on that is if it is 13th overall or higher, the New York Rangers will retain that pick for this year, and it will defer to 2026, but it will be fully unprotected, so we will get it no matter what. Which, given this year's draft class, isn't the worst thing in the world for me. It's not super deep. So it's also a nice trade chip that Alvin and Rutherford can weaponize at the trade deadline to potentially bring in another high caliber defenseman or a high end winger or even another true second line center. Hedl has that ceiling. However, he was kind of buried behind some depth there in New York and also has struggled with a bit of concussion issues in his career. So we'll talk about him a little more in a bit here. But yeah, so we do get a couple good chips back. So we'll see how those pan out. And yeah, just a little about JT Miller. With his tenure in the Canucks here, he was traded to Vancouver in 2019 from the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it was in the summer that season. And then he immediately endeared himself to Canucks fans. That the first game he played, he had a goal and 3 assists in his first Canucks game, which was a career high for him, 4 points in a game. A few games later, he became one of 9 Canucks players in franchise history to score 2 power play goals in one game. Many other highlight reel moments in his first season as a Canuck. Then obviously the pandemic stuff and COVID. There was a COVID season and Bubble Demko and all the playoff success. We pushed Vegas to 7 games and that sort of stuff. He signed a 7-year extension for $56 million in September of 2022, stating that he wanted to be a Canuck for, I guess, the remainder of his career, because that would have put him at 36, 37 years old. Last season had 103 points, and he was the 7th player in franchise history to get 100 points in a season. And also last season, he became the second fastest Canuck player to reach 400 points. And that was coupled with 3 straight 30-goal seasons. So no doubt one of the best offensive players to wear a Canucks jersey in his short tenure here. It seems like he'd been here for much longer than 2019 to 2025. And it looked like he was going to be here for a long time, but obviously issues in the locker room led to irreconcilable differences, and changes needed to be made. We saw that given the attitude around the team. It just felt different this year, and hopefully now we can move forward with our new prospects.
Well, let's talk about what we got back, because everyone in chat's debating whether or not we got nothing or we got something. And so let's get this right. So it's Filip Chytil, so you don't say the C?
Yeah, I'm quite certain it's Hedel. That's kind of what I've been hearing online a lot. And yeah, Canucks fans tend to follow one team and one team only, the Canucks. So when trades get made, you immediately think doom and gloom. However, there is some great potential in this trade. We did pick up a 25-year-old player in Filip Chytil. He was drafted 21st overall in 2017 by the Rangers, so he is a former first-round draft pick. He's 6'2", so a little more size than JT Miller. He's 204 pounds. In 337 games played, he has 64 goals, 80 assists, and 144 points.
Like half a point a game,
and he's only
like
25. Yeah, it's about a half point per game. He's only 25, so he has the potential to improve. And he was also stuck behind Zibanejad, Trocheck, Kreider, lots of very talented centermen in New York. So he was down the depth chart, forced to play a checking role and not really able to use his offensive talents. So similar to when JT Miller came to Vancouver, everyone was really concerned that it was a poor trade, and why are we trading for this guy who's never really put up any great offensive numbers? Well, he was buried down the depth chart in Tampa Bay, similar to Hedel in New York. So we'll have to see what this kid can do when he's allowed to have a little more ice time and a little more freedom to actually play offensive style hockey, and he's not playing such a checking role. So he hasn't really had a chance to show what he's capable of. Also, he has had some concussion issues. He's already suffered 4 in his young career, which is a little bit scary, but obviously with modern medicine and you look at careers like Sidney Crosby, there was a time where we were worried he would never play hockey again because of concussions. So it's a little less scary. Obviously, as Canucks fans, we're gun shy given the recent history with Michael Furland coming in here as a free agent, and a lot of hype and excitement, and then a few body checks and his career's over. So we hope that isn't the case with Hedel. He suffered his 4th one last year on November 2nd, and he missed the majority of the regular season. Came back in the playoffs for New York and did score a goal in their playoff series, but he's I didn't get a chance to get his stats from this season yet, but hopefully he can come in here and put up some second line minutes and find some offensive touch.
What do we know about the other part of the trade, or at least 2/3 of the trade, the defenseman Victor Mancini?
Yes, moving on to Victor Mancini. This is a young 22-year-old defenseman. He was undrafted his first 2 years eligible, so he was actually drafted in 2022. He was a 5th-round pick. He is a 6'4", 220-pound right-hand shot defenseman. He is a big, physical boy, and he is not afraid to throw his weight around. I was quickly pulling up a few highlights from him playing for Hartford in the AHL, and he is a big man. He is intimidating, and he's right up Tockett's alley. And he does have a bit of offensive upside to him. He does like to shoot the puck and get the puck through. So this year he's played. How many games has he played here with Hartford? I got it up right now. He has played 23 games this season with Hartford so far, has 3 goals and 10 assists. And then in the NHL, he did start the season out of training camp with the New York Rangers. He had a strong training camp, and they had an injury on the blue line. So he started up with the big club. So he is close to making that jump to the NHL. And in 15 games played with New York to start the year, he did have a goal and 4 assists. So there is some offense there. And he is ready to play in the NHL. Like, the skill is there. So gives us some options on the right-hand side now. Something that we were lacking a little bit. We were calling up Friedman as our fill-in for that. So someone who's 22 years old and a big guy, him and DPD together on a line will look really good in Abbotsford. And that's two very high-end prospects that are very close to being able to play NHL games at a regular pace.
So big boy, it kind of the way you're describing it almost has like kind of like Zadorov vibes.
Yeah, very, very similar style to Zadorov. Will stand up for his teammates. Will throw the big checks, makes it hard on forwards to come in and forecheck, and then will throw a big slap shot through or find teammates when he needs to. He's very coachable. From what I'm reading about him, he is from the U.S., so he was born in the U.S. and played some junior hockey in Sweden as well, and then played for the University of Nebraska Omaha his first 2 years of draft eligibility when he was undrafted, and then spent some time with Hartford, the AHL affiliate, and he's been with Hartford for the last couple months. And hopefully we'll see what he's capable of when he gets into some Abbotsford games. I'll be watching those closely for sure.
How sad are you to see Eric Brandstrom go?
After seeing DPD up in the NHL, not super upset about it. Brandstrom, yes, can move the puck, but his defensive game just isn't developing. And we're the third team to try and develop it, and I just don't think it's going to get there. Maybe someone can convert him to a forward. I think that might be his best career path, just given his size and that he isn't capable of recovering defensively the way like Quinn Hughes can. So it was a cool experiment. It was a nothing pickup on a cap dump. So all the best to Brandstrom with New York, and also all the best to JT Miller. I was a fan. I had a jersey. It's unfortunate that it came to this, but I totally understand why it happened, and hopefully we are on now to consistent and better and brighter days as Canucks fans.
Cool. Dustin, thanks for everything. We'll talk about the Abbey Canucks in the post-game show, and we're just getting into the second period here.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
Nothing is perfect.